Tova.
They did it the last time.
Gamar Chatima Tova. May you be sealed in the book of life. Welcome, everyone, tonight. I want to start a little differently than I usually do on these holidays. And I want to tell you that I need to hear you 400 of you about in this room. And what I mean is that when you hear something you like, tell me that you hear something you like. If you hear someone singing something that's beautiful, sing with them. And fill the room with your voices too. Despite the costumes and the script, it's not a performance up here. It's us praying together. And we have to be courageous together in that same way. We need to hear one another that we're not alone and that we're all neighbors, that no one is a spectator in this particular sport of prayer and community. I want to welcome all of my longtime community members. I'm so glad that you're here. Our new Chaverim, all 36 of you. Our GLBTQ community, our interfaith families, our single families, our guests, our first timers. Jenny says you guys can't hear me. You can't hear me? How's that? See, I asked you to talk to me. See, I can't hear you. I can't know. Now I'm loud. That's right. I welcome Dr. Allison Acord with her beautiful voice, as you probably know from Rosh Hashanah, who filled the sanctuary with love and spirit. I welcome Dr. Mark Bailey for his 29th Yom Kippur here with us. I know. Yeah, see? That's good. He needs to hear it. And our choir, many of you who have been here that same length of time. I thank Bob Zeke, who is there manning the streaming table for 170 of you who are already online with us. I thank our police and our ushers for keeping us safe, to John Molander, who helped bring people in from their cars and helped change this cafeteria into a sanctuary for us. I thank our amazing staff, Jenny and Marta, Laura, Julie, and Batya, for doing everything you do to build our holy community. I want to welcome our online community. Even though you're not with us in our physical space, you're with us in our prayer service, and we're so glad you're with us. If you'd like to include a name in our Misha Berach list, on our healing list, please let us know. Tonight we are praying together as one community, as one family. So I'd like if you could turn to one another just briefly and introduce yourselves so that you know with whom you are praying. We turn now to our camera, which is over there where Bob is, and we wave. We wave, and the words are Gamar Chatima Tova. That was pretty good. As we begin our service, I emphasize the importance of turning off our cell phones. Not only are they distracting to the worship environment, I see no movement. Let's turn off our cell phones so that we can ensure that those at home who are streaming can stream seamlessly. This Kol Nidre, we acknowledge that each of us comes to prayer with different needs and different modes of expression. Yet sitting side by side here in the sanctuary, we hear the sounds of one another's praying as though they are our own. Every Jew is different, and yet together we realize the oneness of our faith. May this service offer you what you seek, strengthen your connection to your faith, and provide an opportunity of reflection and healing. We begin our service on page 9, welcoming in our holy day with the lighting of the candles.
And mercy and peace, oh, hear human spirit is the lamp of God, searching out what lies within us. Guided by the flame of conscience, on the sacred night we search for truth. Shine your light upon us as we strive to serve you. May we find safety in your faithful love. We light the flame of healing and forgiveness. On this atonement night, we give thanks for love.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel yom haKippurim.
Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on Yom Kippur.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehekiyanu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, giving us life, upholding the life within us, and bringing us this time.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel yom haKippurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehekiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazaman hazeh.
I invite all of our past presidents up in front of the bima here. You guys aren't going to line up in order? It's by order, not by height. Let's rise as a community. We're on page 14. Yom Kippur, the Jewish people's festival of the soul, and Kol Nidre, its sacred portal, a night of deep emotions, a night, as the psalmist wrote, to rejoice with trembling. We rejoice at the sound of Kol Nidre, rhythmic words of release from vows, oaths, and promises to God we fail to keep. We tremble at the melody, music of spiritual amazement. It fills us with awe as we stand before God and Torah. We rejoice that we stand together, strengthened by community in this hour of shared weakness and humility. We tremble, for tonight we confess our flaws, admit our imperfection, and acknowledge a power far beyond our understanding. We rejoice that we commit ourselves to great endeavors because we feel so deeply and think so nobly. We tremble, for we find that our ideals are far greater than our ability, our promises surpass our might. We rejoice in the freedom that is Kol Nidre's true gift, the freedom to begin a new year without fear of failure, to aspire to be God's image in the world. We tremble because we are mortal. We rejoice in our gratitude for life. We rejoice with trembling and enter Kol Nidre to face our humanity. Page 16. With one voice assembled sages past and present declare, all may pray as one on this night of repentance. Let none be excluded from our community of prayer. With one voice God and congregation proclaim, all may pray as one on this day of return. Let all find a place in this sacred assembly. We continue on page 22.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach. Leolam vaed.
Please be seated as we continue on page 25. Day and night are yours, creative spirit of the universe. The muted colors of twilight, the radiance of dawn. Yours are the spreading wings of light, the deepening shadows of darkness, an ever-changing drama. In the human heart, too, the struggle between darkness and light unfolds. From sunlit heights of generosity, the human heart sinks to the gloomy depths of selfishness. Although we fall, you give us the strength to rise again. You call on those who hurt through word or deed to break free from wrongdoing and return to you. All who hear your call to goodness are embraced. All who reject emptiness and evil find acceptance from you. We come into your presence this night of Kol Nidre, aware that our shortcomings and weaknesses are many. Yet encouraged by your promise of forgiveness, we choose freely the path of repentance, restoring wholeness to our lives and holiness to the world. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, creator of twilight and dusk.
Abad olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadta, otanu limadta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shakleinu, ufkumenu nasiach malchutecha, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ומצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד, שם כבוד מלכותו, לעולם ועד.
Page 30. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה Asher anochi metzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha ivlechtecha havaderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafod beinenecha Uchtavtam amezuzo beitacha uvisharecha leman tiskeru vasitem ekol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim leloechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem meretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem lelohim Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Emet. Tonight, I want to talk to you about the power of redemption, what redemption looks like both individually and communally. The Jewish faith teaches the belief in Geula, the redeeming of a broken world and deliverance into a perfect world, where humanity and God are one. Our brit, our covenant, is the name for the binding relationship between God and humanity. It's what makes us God's chosen people. The first stage of the covenant between Israel and God happens right after we're brought out of slavery in Egypt. Through signs and miracles, we find ourselves in the wilderness at the foot of Mount Sinai, which we call the Sinai moment. And we believe that we all stood there, every soul that ever was and every soul that will be, standing there to receive the covenant by saying, yeah, I'll do that. I'll take on the laws of Torah and a Jewish life. In exchange, I will be redeemed by God. And the covenant we sign on to is really imposing. And we have these wrestling match for generations of our Creator punishing us and then rewarding us and then punishing us again and then rewarding us, trying to keep us in line. And all the frustration and disobedience comes to a head in 70 CE, where we enter the second stage of our covenant. At that time, the temple was the only place where we connected as a people to God. At the temple, God was tangible, appearing in smoke and fire and the smiting and enjoying our animal sacrifice. So when the temple is destroyed, the way we connected to God fell apart too. It's a moment of great stress on our covenant, where God seemed to be saying, all the ways you've been connecting with me, honoring me, trying to live up to this covenant, that's over and I'm done. You disgust me, my creation, and you clearly have no idea what it means to be a covenantal people. We rip our clothes, we cover ourselves in ashes, and a holy day appears on our calendar called Tisha B'Av. It's in the summer, we all miss it. But it's the day that God said, no thanks. Some people believe that our covenant died that day, and that we continued on as a Jewish people without God in our lives from that point on. Others believe that God had the opportunity to break the covenant, reject creation, but didn't, choosing instead to stay with the covenant, but in a new form, manifesting as a hidden God in our world, no longer dictating how the world should operate, but as a deity that gives primacy to human agency. Then we get to the third stage in our covenant, the Holocaust, the genocide of God's chosen people. And the attack was not just on our lives, but on the covenant itself. Elie Wiesel wrote, "The Jewish people entered into a covenant with God. We were to protect his Torah, and he in turn assumes responsibility for Israel's presence in the world. Well, it seems, for the first time in history, this very covenant is broken." In the wake of agony and suffering and murder, the people of Israel had a choice on whether to return to God or not, for it certainly felt like everything was broken. We have no understanding for what life after death looks like, which is what life after the Holocaust is. Life after the death of family, faith, and future. I see our survivors in this room, and we are honored that you're among us. Each survivor had to create a path into a world that was permeated with loss. Some of the survivors converted away from Judaism. Some of the survivors rejected completely any faith, any concept of God. Some of the survivors killed themselves. Loss of family, loss of faith proved to be too much loss. But many, so many, miraculously and beyond logic and reason, took the covenant into their own hands. In the shadow of horror, chose to have faith and build a new era for Judaism. With the renewed knowledge that by being Jewish, we are implicating ourselves, our children, our grandchildren, knowing for a fact that being Jewish in this world is dangerous and usually worth it. What a courageous faith, but not a blind one. Yitz Greenberg, existential philosopher and great teacher, said that after the Holocaust, all Jews are Jews by choice. He called this the voluntary covenant, the third stage of the covenantal relationship, where God and humanity choose each other. After the Holocaust, God became imperfect, and God must atone for being silent in the face of our tremendous and unnecessary suffering. Greenberg teaches that the voluntary imperfect covenant is the acceptance that destruction, suffering, even genocide will take place, that the divine will be hidden, silent, and the sea may not split for us, and that we are responsible for our communal redemption. It used to be true for me that when I heard someone use the phrase never again about something other than the Holocaust, it would really bother me. I felt like never again belonged to my people and our pain. Never again is the term that Jewish people use about the horrifying murder and agony of 6 million Jews. But I've come to understand that if I say never again and only mean never again for my people, then the redemption of our world will never be. The issue is that never again belongs to Parkland students and every student who has ever witnessed the unthinkable horror of the shooting of high school teenagers. Never again belongs to Native Americans around the pillaging of land and water. Never again belongs to us, the city of Cincinnati, where 74% of African American children are living in poverty with food insecurity, where a homeless man, do you remember this last year? A homeless man freezes to death on our streets because of inadequate access to affordable housing. Our city where we made it illegal to be homeless. So don't tell me never again, because never again happens again and again and again. Our covenant is to work alongside God for a redeemed world, where we acknowledge that we see evil, suffering, injustice happening everywhere in humanity. And we were required to act on the call of never again. In those final moments when Israel was fleeing Egypt, they came to a large sea. And they thought, after all these plagues, this is the way I'm going to die? Standing trapped in front of this water? And so the story goes that Nachshon, this guy, he's like, not me. And he walks into the water, and he steps in and he says, Mi chamocha b'alim Adonai, who is like you among the mighty God? And then he steps in a little farther so the water gets in his mouth a little bit, and he goes, Mi kamocha b'alim Adonai. He says it again. So the people say, okay, let's do it too. And they all get in. And once every single person is in the water, swimming for their lives, God looks down and sees their faith in redemption, their hope, their connection to each other, and splits the seas so they can cross into dry land. The miracle was in the swimming, not the splitting. It was us believing that the world could be different. We were the miracle then, and we are the miracle now. When we say never again, and it actually never happens again, that's redemption of that corner. Slowly, slowly, it is our call as a people to honor our voluntary covenant by redeeming this world one never again at a time. We continue with Micha Mocha, our prayer of hope and redemption on page 40.
Yam. Zeli anu v'amru. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חצק ממנו. ברוך אתה גל ישראל.
With pogroms, genocide, anti-Semitism, God increasingly felt more and more hidden to the Jewish people. And we pushed down our faith that God would be the source of our redemption. The epitome of this hidden God is evident in the story of Esther, whose story we read on the holy day of Purim. It's the only book in our canon that does not mention God, and where hiddenness abounds. The story takes place in a land called Shushan, and like most places back in the day, Shushan wasn't exactly the friendliest place for the Jewish people. So our heroine, Esther, whose name is derived from the word Hester, hidden, hides her Jewish identity. And she wins a national beauty pageant whose reward is to be queen of the land and one of the many partners to King Ahasuerus. Esther enjoys a life of plenty in the palace. But then the story changes, and it becomes clear that all the Jews in the land are in danger and are set to be targeted for mass death. Esther's uncle, Mordecai, approaches her and says, Esther, you have to help us. You've got to speak up. Go talk to your husband. You are in a position of power and influence. Go to the king and tell him you're Jewish, that you're one of us. And this way you can save our people. And Esther tells him, I can't do that. He's going to kill me. I'll lose my power and influence and lifestyle for what? I'm just going to die as soon as he finds out I'm Jewish. And then Mordecai says to Esther, which is my favorite line in all of her writings, Esther 4:14, he says, Esther, who knows whether you have attained royalty for such a time as this, and for this very purpose? And she's like, yeah, okay, I'll go. But if I'm going to go risk my life, then you guys have to be with me. So she calls a communal fast, and everyone fasts with her so that she goes in and she makes a request. And she reveals her identity to the king, and they reverse the decree, and she saves her people. The miracle of Purim is different than any other miracle in our tradition because the miracle isn't coercive, unlike the miracles of the Exodus. And it's brought about by human agency. There's this Talmudic passage in Shabbat 88a about the Sinai moment. And it says that God was actually holding Mount Sinai above the people and saying, do you want to take this covenant, accept it, or I'm going to bury you under this mountain? So that's your choice. Take it, or I'm going to crush you. And so the rabbis say it wasn't actually a very good deal because it was coercion. And coercion is never binding. And then the other side, the latter part of the Talmud says that actually it was a choice and it wasn't coerced because the Jews established and took upon themselves in the story of Purim that Esther made sure that the covenant was repaired. Now, Purim doesn't replace Sinai. It renews the covenant by accepting human agency in the work of redemption rather than giving it all to God. God is hidden in Esther, hidden in Purim, hidden because that's exactly where God belongs, hidden in each of us. That courageous faith, shadowed by a covenant offered at Sinai, broken with the destruction of the temple, repaired with Esther, and then chosen in the wake of genocide and agony, that holy, voluntary partnership with God is found in the eyes of the other. As your rabbi, I can't make you believe in God or hold your faith for you. My job, as I see it, is to help create the conditions to see the hidden God, discover the ways that we belong to each other, and that we're not alone. Not really. So I'm going to ask you to do something that's only going to take 3 minutes. And I'm sorry, introverts, in advance. But I want you to turn to someone near you and just honestly look at them in their eyes. Be authentic for a moment. It's just us. And I'm going to ask you to engage in one question. And if you're online and there are people in your room, then I hope you'll do this too, to turn to someone and have this conversation. And if you're alone and you're online, then I hope that you'll write it down and you'll email it to me as if I was in the room with you. No one's a bystander here. We're all part of this. So the question I'd like you to do for 3 minutes is to answer the question, how are you redeeming your one part of the world? How are you redeeming your one part of the world? Well, I'm having this conversation. How are you redeeming your one part of the world? I have this mentor here, and he said that when you're redeeming your job is about paid an invoice. And that invoice is about the good you do. Right? And he said that the purpose of life is to figure out the answer to the question that is to try. Not everybody can. But you think so only like rabbis are thinking about existential questions? Let there be love.
And understanding among us, let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Ashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Ashkivenu, and understanding among us, let peace and friendship be our shelter. Ashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, and understanding among us, peace and friendship be our
Once we got you guys talking, we keep going. That's good. That's good. We continue on page 45 with our Chatzi Kaddish. 45.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה. בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי. בחיי קון וביום מכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בגלה ובזמן קריב והימרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילם עם כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמא ויאמרו amen.
We rise for tefillah beginning on page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagit hilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Harora, Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניכם, למען שמו באהבה. זכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, לחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד אתה, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומק נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומחייהם אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכה יצוריו לחיים מרחמים, ורחמנותו לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע.
We continue silently reading through page 78, and when you've completed your private meditation or your words from the prayer book, please be seated. We'll continue on page 82.
אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, תבוא לפניך תפילתנו, ואל תתעלם מתחינתנו, שאין אנחנו הזפנים וקשי עורף, לומר נך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, צדיקים עסקנו ולא חטאנו, אנחנו חטאנו.
We rise together. For this portion, for those who haven't experienced it, as we go through, we're going to knock on our hearts if you're comfortable. You'll notice that a lot of these words end in the oo sound, which is the plural. It's not because we've done all of these sins, but someone here or someone in our world has done at least one of these. And so to avoid embarrassment, we all say them together. The other reason that we do them together is because even if we ourselves are not guilty of these actual sins, we're guilty of being complicit in the systems that have created them. So as we do this, what we're doing is knocking on our hearts. We're not punishing ourselves. We're saying we understand we're part of it, and we want to break down the walls around my heart to open myself enough to be a change agent. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence, and when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong.
Ay, 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 ay,
together in the English. Of these wrongs we are guilty. We betray, we steal, we scorn, we act perversely, we are cruel, we scheme, we are violent, we slander, we devise evil, we lie, we ridicule, we disobey, we abuse, we defy, we corrupt, we commit crimes, we are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral, we kill, we spoil, we go astray, we lead others astray. We continue on page 86. Please join me in either the Hebrew or the English, whatever feels right for you. Achet shachatanu lefanecha bezadon vishgaga, v'achet shachatanu lefanecha b'dibur peh. The ways we have wronged you deliberately and by mistake, and the harm we have caused in your world through the words of our mouth. Achet shachatanu lefanecha b'imut halev, v'achet shachatanu lefanecha b'dishut peh. The ways we have wronged you by hardening our hearts, and the harm we have caused in your word through careless speech. Achet shachatanu lefanecha b'chachash u'chazav, v'achet shachatanu lefanecha b'rechilut. The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor. Achet shachatanu lefanecha b'flilut, v'achet shachatanu lefanecha b'zulzul horim u'morim. The ways we have wronged you by judging others unfairly, and the harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers. Achet shachatanu lefanecha b'divdui peh, v'achet shachatanu lefanecha b'hona'at re'ah. The ways we have wronged you through insincere apologies, and harm we have caused in your world by mistreating a friend or neighbor. Achet shachatanu lefanecha b'chozek yad, v'achet shachatanu lefanecha b'masa uvmatan. The ways we have wronged you through violence and abuse, and the harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty in business. V'al kulam Elohai slichot, slach lanu, machal lanu, kaper lanu. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. Achet shachatanu lefanecha begalui uvasater, ve'achet shachatanu lefanecha bifrikat ol. The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and the harm we have caused in your world by losing self-control. Achet shachatanu lefanecha begilui arayot, ve'achet shachatanu lefanecha b'ma'achal uvmishteh. The ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, and the harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink. Achet shachatanu lefanecha b'yetzer hara, v'achet shachatanu lefanecha b'neshach uvmarabit. The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and the harm we have caused in your world through greed and exploitation. Achet shachatanu lefanecha b'latzon, v'achet shachatanu lefanecha b'nitiat garon. The ways we have wronged you through cynicism and scorn, and the harm we have caused in your world through arrogant behavior. Achet shachatanu lefanecha b'snat chinam, v'achet shachatanu lefanecha b'tum'at tzvatayim. The ways we have wronged you by hating without cause, and the harm we have caused in your world through offensive speech. Achet shachatanu lefanecha b'lishon hara, v'achet shachatanu lefanecha b'tzarut ayin. The ways we have wronged you with a slanderous tongue, and the harm we have caused in your world through a selfish or petty spirit. V'al kulam Elohai slichot, slach lanu, machal lanu, kaper lanu. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. continue on page 98, reading responsively. Hear our call, Adonai our God. Show us compassion. Accept our prayer with love and goodwill. Take us back, Adonai. Let us come back to you. Renew our days as in the past. Hear our words, Adonai. Understand our unspoken thoughts. May the speech of our mouth and our heart's quiet prayer be acceptable to you, Adonai, our rock and our redeemer. Do not cast us away from your presence or cut us off from your Holy Spirit. Do not cast us away when we are old, as our strength diminishes. Do not forsake us. Do not forsake us, Adonai. Be not far from us, our God. With hope, Adonai, we wait for you. Surely you, Adonai, our God, you will answer. Please be seated. My grandfather grew up in Germany, and he was captured on Kristallnacht and taken to Buchenwald concentration camp. And back in those early parts of the war, you could buy your way out of the concentration camp. And so that's what my great-grandmother did. Her name was Jenny. She sold everything she had, including her house, to ransom her son out so that he could get out of Nazi Germany. So my grandfather leaves Buchenwald and the home that he knew and all the family that he had. And he thinks that he'll never be back. 3 years go by, and the U.S. military sends him about 45 minutes away from that childhood home. So one day he decides he'd go back and see it. So he goes by the house and he knocks on the door, and he said, "Here I am, I'm Simon. I've come to see the house." And he can tell people are inside, but they don't open the door. The next time he's back is in 1968, when the village sends him a letter and says, "Oops, we're sorry about all that. We'd like to apologize in person. Would you like to come over back to Germany, and we'll tell the whole village that you're coming, and you can see everything that was and know that we're sorry about it." And he says, "Yeah, I'll take that trip." And this time he sends a letter to the house saying, "Hey, I'm coming in. I'd like to come by." So he rolls by the house and he says, "Hey, here I am. It's Simon. I've come to see the house." And again, he can tell someone's inside, but they don't answer. The next time the house is seen by someone in my family is in 1973. My mom is studying abroad in Israel, and she decides to take a quick plane ride over to Germany. She sends a letter letting them know that she's coming. And wouldn't you know, she knocks on that door and says, "Here I am. I'm the daughter of Simon, and I've come to see the house." No answer. The next time is my uncle and my cousins. They go and knock, knock, knock. "Here I am. I'm the son of Simon, and here are some of his grandchildren." No answer. I finally go in 2003 with my sister. And we've prepared, we've sent postcards and emails. We're like ready, the door's gonna open for us. And we get there, here I am, here we are, the great-grandchildren, the grandchildren of Simon, and we're here to see the house. And his neighbor comes out, and we don't speak German, and he doesn't speak English, and he hands us his Coke, and we're like, "Coca-Cola, that's our language, okay." This is what we get after a generation of coming back over and over and over again. So we go back one last time before we leave, and we take a picture in front of the house, and we knock one more time, and we say, "Hey, Simon's grandchildren, we're still here." I was raised in this family that taught us to show up, to keep on knocking, keep trying to believe in something bigger than ourselves. When my grandfather left Germany, he had no idea what would come after the ashes. He had no idea there'd be children and grandchildren and even a great-grandchild, my eldest daughter, who would carry on his name. We never have an idea of what our true legacy will be or what the impact will have on others. I'm reminded of my earliest conversations with my grandfather, about the same age that my daughter, Sienna, is now. And he would tell me what he had seen and how he had felt, and then he'd often finish those conversations with a nechemsa, which is a clothing blessing. And he'd say, ever since I was about 5 or 6, "You're going to be a rabbi, and you're going to give back to the world love in the place of pain." So I did. I became a rabbi because I wanted to serve my people in that very specific way, my own contribution to the voluntary covenant. Later, I would find this deep, deep call for what my rabbinate should look like. A rabbinate that is committed to reconciliation and redemption, not just for the Jewish people, but for all of humanity. We are part of a transgenerational covenantal community. Our purpose individually is to redeem the suffering of our parents, let the dead rest in peace, and live lives that honor their sacrifices. Our community's call is to rise up to the challenge of a voluntary covenant, not measuring our worth by how miserable the world is, no matter what we do, because it's going to be miserable, but rather seeing our success as human beings by effectuating never again in our corner of the world. We as a people are committed to keep knocking on barriers, on doors, on our hearts. Not knocking in anger or because we need someone to open the door, or because we think we have all the solutions to the problem. Knocking to say, we're still here. We are the witnesses, and we are the carriers of light, and we will be the ones to usher in our own redemption, one never again at a time. We rise together for Avinu Malkeinu, page 114. Please join the language that's most comfortable for you. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu Va'al Olalenu V'Tapenu. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu Kale Dever V'Chere V'Ra'av Ma'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu Kale Kol Tsar Umastin Ma'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu Kotvenu B'Sefer Chayim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu Male Yadeinu Mibrochatecha. Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessings. Avinu Malkeinu Harem Karen Mishichacha. Avinu Malkeinu, let our eyes behold the dawn of redemption. Avinu Malkeinu Na'al Tishvenu Reka Milfanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, we pray, do not turn us away from you with nothing. Avinu Malkeinu Kabel Berachamim Uvratzon Et Tfilatenu. Avinu Malkeinu, welcome our prayer with love, accept and embrace it. Avinu Malkeinu Ase Imanu Laman Shemecha. Avinu Malkeinu, act towards us as befits your name. Avinu Malkeinu Ase Laman Chaim Lo Lamanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake, if not for ours. Avinu Malkeinu Ein Lanu Melech Ela Ata. Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our sovereign. Avinu Malkeinu Petach Sha'arei Shemayim Litfilatenu. Avinu Malkeinu, let the gates of heaven be open to our prayer. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu Chus Berachem Aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice, treat us with tender compassion. Avinu Malkeinu Chonenu V'Anenu Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim Aseh Imanu Tzedakah V'Chesed V'Hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu Chamol
Page 116.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים עמה, ושלינת אוצו בגובי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אמת צורתו, כתוב בתורתו, וידעת יום בהשבות אל לבבך. כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים עמה, ועל הארץ מתחתנו.
118.
ונאמר ביד אדוני למלך כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Just as we conclude, I want to thank all of our ushers, our Bima honors, our past presidents, our amazing choir, Dr. Acord and Dr. Bailey, Bob Zeke. Thank you for making 180 people streaming online possible tonight. I want to remind you as we go into the next 25 hours that you might be with us just tonight. You might have just been with us online for a few minutes. You might be with us all the way to the bitter end. There's going to be prizes at the end. That we're in it together, and that any moment we can span together is meaningful and worth it. And so as you go into this fast, I hope that you take care of your bodies and your mind and your spirit. It's been a tough year by any measure. It's been a hard year. And the next 25 hours isn't about punishment. It's about nourishment and connecting to something bigger than yourself. So for those of us who are healthy enough, we'll choose to abstain from food and water. And those who are on medication will not do that. And for those of you who are on medication and just can't do the food part, then pick something else to fast from today. Think of something. It can be internet, it can be gossip, I don't care. Choose something that just makes the next 25 hours feel meaningful and different. And come as you are. You don't have to wear a suit. And just be with us here. We're going to begin the conclusion on page 121. This holy night concludes with memory. Our last thoughts always are of those we have lost. We miss them especially tonight, yearning their presence at our side. The service we have shared once was theirs. They spoke and sang the ancient words. They prayed, repented, and yearned for better lives, as we have done. Flawed in their deeds, imperfect in their faith, they still drew strength from their tradition as we seek fortitude in ours. What was good and beautiful in their lives once gave us joy and now inspires us to reach higher. The knowledge that they loved us deeply brings comfort to our hearts. So we light candles of remembrance and gratitude, and we speak this timeless truth, Zichronam Livracha, their memories of blessing now and forever. We pray that their goodness will live on in our lives planting seeds of kindness and hope for generations to come. Tonight, as a community, remember the recent passing of Margaret Haywood and Dr. Lenice Dolan. And we commemorate the yard sites, the anniversaries of the passing of Gladys E. Martindale, Saul Schuler, Karl Koppel, Gudula Koppel, Gunther Koppel, Elaine Infield, Natalie Lurie, and Dax Pearson. We also remember Ivan Fask, who was just taken from us today. If there are other peoples that you are remembering and you'd like to share those names, please share those names now. If you are in mourning or remembering someone or come out at a yard site, please rise first. We acknowledge you, see you, think of you and your pain as we rise together as a community of comfort for all those we mentioned out loud, those we hold in our hearts, and for all those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, as we continue with our words of praise and redemption on page 122. Yitkadal v'kadash shemei Rabbah, v'alama divra chirutei v'yamlich machlutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei zachol be'Yisrael, v'galau v'zman kari v'imru, Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei kedusha, Le'ela u'le'ela mikol berchata v'shirata, tishbechata v'nechamata, d'amiram be'alma v'imru. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru.
Osei shalom b'imromav, v'yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. Please be seated. We'll conclude on page 126, and as you leave, please put your machzorim, your books, back on that tray, and then we're back here at 10:30 in the morning tomorrow, and here we go.
Adon olam asher malach, b'terem kol yitzir nivra, leheit nasav lechetzo kol, azai ha'elel shemo nikra, v'acharei kichlot hakol, levato yimlok nora, ve'hu haya, ve'hu hoveh, ve'hu yeh b'tifara, ve'hu echad ve'en sheni, להמשילו, להחמירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה. לה 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 צור חבלי ביצרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא.
Hatima Tova. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you.